Chapter 1. The Unexpected Meeting. Before we dive in, don't forget to subscribe and drop a like. The yellow streetlight flickered unsteadily in the quiet Los Angeles street at midnight, casting dancing shadows on the cracked pavement below. Marcus Thompson, a successful tech entrepreneur known for his innovative electric vehicle company, walked alone toward his silver Tesla Model S after an exhausting board meeting that had stretched well into the evening. The city's usual hustle and bustle had died down, leaving only the distant hum of traffic and the occasional siren in the background. His Italian leather shoes clicked rhythmically against the concrete as he navigated through the empty sidewalk, his mind still processing the complex financial projections and market strategies they had discussed. The meeting had been particularly challenging, with investors questioning the feasibility of their next-generation battery technology. Marcus loosened his silk tie, feeling the weight of responsibility pressing down on his shoulders. The boardroom discussions had been intense, with several venture capitalists expressing concerns about the company's ambitious timeline for bringing revolutionary battery technology to market. Marcus had spent hours defending his vision, explaining how advanced thermal management systems and innovative cell configurations could transform the entire electric vehicle industry. But despite his passionate presentations, doubt lingered in the investors' eyes, and Marcus knew that his company's future depended on delivering breakthrough innovations that could silence the skeptics. As he approached the corner where his car was parked, an elderly homeless man sitting against the brick wall of an abandoned storefront caught his attention. The man appeared to be in his late 60s, with salt and pepper hair that hadn't seen a proper cut in months and deep wrinkles that spoke of years spent weathering life's storms. He was wrapped in an old, military-style blanket that had seen better days, its olive green color faded to a dull brown in places. The storefront behind him had been empty for years, its windows covered with faded for-lease signs and layers of graffiti that told the story of urban decay. The contrast between this scene of abandonment and Marcus's world of gleaming corporate towers and cutting-edge technology was stark, representing two different realities that rarely intersected in the sprawling metropolis of Los Angeles. A rusty coffee cup sat in front of him on the sidewalk, positioned hopefully to catch any spare change from passers-by, but it remained empty, reflecting the harsh reality of his circumstances. Marcus was about to pass by without a second glance, his mind already focused on the drive home and the warm bed waiting for him, when a few words the man muttered under his breath made him freeze mid-step. The first battery array design of the prototype was completely flawed. The thermal management system would have caused catastrophic failure within 6 months of operation. Chapter 2. A Voice from the Past. Marcus stopped abruptly, his heart skipping a beat as he turned to face the homeless man with a mixture of surprise and suspicion. Those technical details were classified information, known only to a handful of engineers who had worked on the project during its earliest development phases. The specificity of the man's comment was unnerving, far too accurate to be mere coincidence or lucky guesswork from someone who had overheard corporate conversations. The homeless man lifted his weathered head slowly, revealing eyes that, despite their tiredness and the obvious signs of hardship, still held a spark of intelligence and technical acuity that Marcus immediately recognized. Those were the eyes of an engineer, someone who had once solved complex problems and designed intricate systems. There was something familiar about the face, though years of hardship had changed its features significantly. "I was one of the lead engineers who worked on that prototype 7 years ago," the man said in a voice that trembled not just from the cold night air, but from the emotional weight of his confession. Dr. William Harrison, formerly of the Advanced Battery Research Division. But things went terribly wrong after the project was shelved. Personal investments in cryptocurrency that collapsed overnight, a messy divorce that cost me everything, medical bills from my wife's cancer treatment that drained our savings, and some very poor financial decisions made in desperation. And here I am, living proof that success in Silicon Valley can evaporate faster than morning fog. The name hit Marcus like a thunderbolt. Dr. William Harrison had been mentioned in several technical reports from the company's early days, always in glowing terms. His research had been considered groundbreaking. His insights into battery chemistry and thermodynamics were years ahead of the competition. Marcus vaguely remembered hearing that Harrison had left the company under mysterious circumstances, but he had assumed it was for a better position elsewhere. Thousands of thoughts raced through Marcus's mind as he processed this revelation. This homeless man under the flickering streetlight seemed to have opened a secret chapter from his company's history, one that Marcus had assumed was safely buried in corporate archives. The irony was devastating. One of the brilliant minds behind the company's early innovations was now living on the streets, forgotten by the industry he had helped to create. The stranger's knowledge was too detailed, too intimate to be fabricated. He spoke of thermal coefficients, lithium-ion cell configurations, and cooling system inefficiencies with the casual familiarity of someone who had lived and breathed these technologies for years. His technical vocabulary was precise, his understanding of the underlying physics was complete, and his insights into the project's shortcomings were uncomfortably accurate. Chapter 3: The Game of Fate. William reached into his tattered jacket pocket and pulled out a notebook that had clearly seen better days. The leather cover was cracked and stained, held together by a rubber band that had long since lost its elasticity. Despite its worn appearance, the notebook had clearly been protected carefully, wrapped in plastic bags to shield it from rain and weather. As he opened it with trembling fingers, Marcus could see that the pages were filled with intricate sketches, mathematical formulas, and technical drawings that demonstrated a level of expertise that was undeniable. The handwriting was precise despite the challenging conditions under which it must have been created, and the diagrams showed the kind of attention to detail that only comes from years of professional experience. The notebook was a treasure trove of engineering brilliance, containing detailed diagrams of battery cell arrangements, thermal management systems, and power distribution networks that were years ahead of their time. Page after page revealed innovations that the current industry was only beginning to explore, solutions to problems that Marcus's current team hadn't even identified yet. Among the illustrations was a battery optimization formula that Marcus and his current team of engineers had been struggling to solve for months, a mathematical equation that could potentially increase battery efficiency by 30% while reducing manufacturing costs by nearly half. The formula was elegant in its simplicity, yet sophisticated in its application of advanced electrochemical principles. This particular formula here, William said, pointing to a complex mathematical expression that filled an entire page and continued onto the next, represents a breakthrough in energy density optimization that I was working on during my final weeks at the company. The key insight is in the relationship between temperature gradients and ion mobility rates, something that most researchers are still approaching from the wrong angle. His voice grew stronger as he explained the technical details, the passion and expertise that had once defined his career returning despite his current circumstances. If I could have finished this research, if I had been given just a few more months to perfect the design and run the necessary validation tests, maybe the prototype wouldn't have been shelved. Maybe the company wouldn't have needed to seek additional funding. Maybe I wouldn't be here today, sleeping in doorways and scrounging for food. His voice cracked with emotion as he spoke, the pain of lost opportunities and squandered potential evident in every word. Marcus remained silent, studying the formulas with growing amazement and recognition. In the weathered hands of this homeless man lay mathematical concepts and engineering solutions that could revolutionize the entire electric vehicle industry and position any company that possessed them as the undisputed leader in sustainable transportation technology. The formulas looked sophisticated and genuine, displaying a level of innovation that was remarkably advanced even by today's standards. It was clear that William had been working on solutions to problems that the industry was only now beginning to fully understand and address. His approach to thermal management was particularly brilliant, addressing issues that had plagued battery manufacturers for years. Chapter 4: The Moment of Decision. Marcus stood there for a long moment, his hand resting on the door handle of his Tesla Model S, his mind wrestling with the moral and practical implications of this unexpected encounter. The easy path would be to simply take the notebook, perhaps leave some money in the coffee cup, and drive away into the night. He could have his team analyze the formulas, potentially solving problems that had been plaguing the company for months, all without any further obligation to this fallen engineer. The temptation was enormous. These formulas could be worth millions, possibly billions of dollars in market value. They could secure the company's position as an industry leader, attract the investment capital that had been so difficult to obtain, and ensure the success of their next generation of products. All it would take was a simple transaction, money for knowledge, no questions asked, no ongoing commitments. But something about William's story, about the genuine regret and lost hope in his eyes, made Marcus pause. This wasn't just about acquiring valuable intellectual property. This was about a human being who had once been at the pinnacle of professional success and had fallen to the very bottom of society. Perhaps this man, despite his current circumstances, still had valuable contributions to make. Perhaps he deserved something more than just having his ideas borrowed and his situation ignored. Marcus slowly turned back toward William and reached into his wallet, pulling out not money, but a pristine business card embossed with his company's logo. The card felt substantial in his hand, representing the success and stability that this homeless man had once known but had somehow lost along the way. The corporate logo gleamed under the streetlight, symbolizing opportunity and second chances. "Dr. Harrison," Marcus said, his voice carrying both respect and determination as he placed the card carefully in William's palm. "I want you to come to our company's headquarters tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock sharp. Don't go to the general reception. Ask for Sarah Chun at the executive floor reception and tell her you have a personal appointment with me. Maybe, just maybe, you deserve a second chance to finish what you started all those years ago." William stared at the business card with a mixture of disbelief and hope that was almost painful to witness. His weathered fingers traced the embossed letters as if they might disappear at any moment, as if this entire encounter might be nothing more than a dream brought on by hunger, exhaustion, and desperate hope. The card represented more than just a meeting opportunity. It was a lifeline, a possibility of redemption that he had stopped believing could exist. Chapter 5: The Final Light. The streetlight flickered once more, casting intermittent shadows that seemed to dance around the two men like spirits of possibility and redemption. A slight smile slowly spread across William's face, the first genuine expression of joy he had experienced in months. The transformation was remarkable. Years of despair and resignation seemed to lift from his shoulders in that single moment, replaced by something he had almost forgotten: hope. As Marcus walked toward his car, his footsteps echoing in the quiet night, William carefully tucked the business card into his jacket pocket, treating it like the precious lifeline it represented. The homeless man whispered words that carried on the cool Los Angeles breeze. "Maybe this time fate won't make the same mistake. Maybe second chances really do exist for people like me, for people who've fallen as far as it's possible to fall." Marcus paused at his car door, looking back one final time at the figure still sitting beneath the flickering streetlight. Something profound had shifted during their brief encounter, not just for William, but for Marcus as well. He realized that success wasn't just about profits and market dominance. It was also about recognizing human potential wherever it might be found, even in the most unlikely circumstances. The drive home through the empty Los Angeles streets gave Marcus time to reflect on the evening's events. The notebook's formulas kept running through his mind, but more than that, he couldn't shake the image of William's eyes that had once burned with the passion of innovation, dimmed by years of hardship, but not entirely extinguished. There was still fire there, still brilliance waiting to be rekindled. Chapter 6: The Dawn of Possibility. As the first rays of sunrise painted the Los Angeles skyline in shades of gold and pink, William Harrison stood outside the imposing glass tower that housed Marcus Thompson's company headquarters. He had spent the early morning hours at a nearby shelter, cleaning himself up as best he could, borrowing a razor, and finding clothes that were presentable enough for what might be the most important meeting of his life. The corporate plaza was beginning to come alive with the morning rush of executives, engineers, and support staff arriving for another day of innovation and competition. William watched them from a distance, remembering when he had once been part of this world, when he had walked through similar corporate campuses with confidence and purpose. The security guard at the reception desk initially looked skeptical when William mentioned his appointment, but a quick phone call to Marcus's office changed everything. Within minutes, William found himself in an elevator riding to the 40th floor, watching the city shrink below him as he ascended toward what felt like a second chance at redemption. Marcus's office was everything William remembered about Silicon Valley success: floor-to-ceiling windows offering breathtaking views, state-of-the-art technology displays, and walls lined with patents and awards. But what struck him most was Marcus's demeanor. There was no condescension, no pity, just genuine professional respect and curiosity about William's expertise and experience. "Dr. Harrison," Marcus began, gesturing to a comfortable chair across from his desk, "I've been thinking about our conversation all night. I've also done some research on your background, and I'm impressed by your previous contributions to battery technology. I'd like to offer you something more than just a consultation fee for your notebook. I'd like to offer you a position, head of our advanced research division, reporting directly to me." Chapter 7. The Transformation. 6 months later, Dr. William Harrison stood in a state-of-the-art laboratory, surrounded by cutting-edge equipment and a team of brilliant young engineers who looked to him for guidance and inspiration. The transformation had been remarkable, not just in his appearance, which now reflected the dignity and professionalism of his restored position, but in his entire approach to life. The formula from his tattered notebook had indeed proven to be revolutionary, leading to a breakthrough in battery efficiency that positioned the company at the forefront of sustainable transportation technology. But more importantly, William had found something he thought he'd lost forever: purpose, respect, and the satisfaction that comes from solving complex problems and making a meaningful contribution to society. Marcus often visited the lab, not just to check on progress, but to witness the remarkable renaissance of a man who had been written off by society. The partnership between them had evolved beyond employer and employee. They had become collaborators in the truest sense, each bringing unique perspectives and experiences that enhanced their collective efforts. The story of William's return from homelessness to technological leadership became an inspiration throughout the company and beyond. It served as a powerful reminder that human potential can be found in the most unexpected places, and that sometimes the greatest innovations come from those who have experienced both the heights of success and the depths of failure. At that moment, the empty street of their first meeting seemed filled with both the ghosts of past failures and the bright possibilities of an uncertain but hopeful future. Their encounter had proven that sometimes the most unexpected meetings, the most unlikely circumstances, can become the catalyst for extraordinary change that extends far beyond individual lives to benefit society as a whole.